I don't know if there's anything more comforting than the feeling I get from a new notebook. For many people, a blank page can feel daunting, but when I write, cracking open a fresh journal opens the door to new possibilities. Spiral bound, hardcover, travel sized, I've had them all. And in each of those pages, I've been able to uncover all the versions of myself that have led to who I am today. Here's how journaling changed my life. I've been journaling on and off for as long as I can remember. I've always wanted to be one of those effortlessly cool artsy types. Sometimes the hopeful or delusional part of my brain would fantasize about a future where, long after a well-lived, inevitably successful life, people would find my journal entries and sift through old ramblings of mine just to see what hidden gems or signs of potential lived within the musings of a 17-year-old who was sad her friends no longer wanted to be friends anymore. But you know what? Life is not always awesome. Because it really sucks when you lose one of your best friends and you don't know why. Other times, journaling just felt like the best way to keep hold of that writer part of my identity. Because even when I found it hard to admit to myself that I still wanted to be a writer or struggled to even share the stories in my head with the blank document in front of me, much less other people, there were still parts of me that couldn't help but still try to decipher the world around me in some sort of way. Maybe timing was wrong, or maybe it never was. I'm certain that if something is meant to be, and our story isn't over yet, then the universe will tell us, and we'll find our way to each other again. In the meantime, my dear, I'll be me, and you'll be you. And I know that's something that will always be enough. In a lot of ways, though, I actually began to journal because for a long time, I thought no one would ever truly care to listen to me or hear about my problems. I'm scared of sharing myself and having people just throw that away, like it doesn't matter. I want to matter to people. As much as I cringe at the Laura Jean-esque way I've written letters to nearly every crush I've ever had, there's a part of me that wishes and hopes for a time where we could get to know each other again. That this would play out like the various romantic comedies I've seen this year, and that this part where I miss you is just the in-between. And the dramatics I've spilled over class being harder than I thought. I'm not going to fail my classes, but I want an A so bad. I was doing so well. What happened? I feel really lucky to have access to my thoughts from over a decade ago. For the longest time, I didn't even realize that journaling was a thing that many people didn't do until a friend asked me if I journaled because she was curious to know more about it as a person who didn't. My journaling has changed a lot throughout the years. Sometimes it's been to-do list after to-do list. Sometimes it's gluing random ticket stubs and photo booth strips, poetry, old memories, or random doodles. But a lot of the time, it's stream of consciousness. Topic or no topic, I give myself the chance to write anything I want. Even if it's, God, I can't remember what happiness feels like, or, yum, my matcha was so good, I'm glad I went outside today. Journaling doesn't have to be profound, poetic, or even done daily in order to be satisfying. I personally journal whenever I feel like it. At some points during the year, it feels like every day, and other times, life feels like such a whirlwind that I have to find time to give future me updates on what past me was up to before I forget it all. Sometimes, if I need a little motivation to pick up writing again, I'll create little challenges for myself, especially when times feel particularly prickly. Last year, when I was working at a summer artist residency lab, I pretty much spent the whole month grumbling about how my social anxieties were pissing me off and trying to counteract that with every time I felt successful at pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. I socialized, and for the most part, I was able to feel present and connected, not too worried about whether I was sounding dumb or not. Later in the year, when I was making the decision to quit my job, more on that in a future video if you're really curious, I needed an extra boost, so I took on gratitude journaling for the entire month. Things I'm grateful for today. The motivation to do so much for myself today. Learning to try without the pressure to be perfect. Feeling and being able to visualize a happy, fulfilling life for myself in the future. When I look back through these entries, I think about the way journaling has been able to help me through some of the hardest times of my life. How it's one of the few places I've given myself permission to ruminate on a subject for as long as I want without feeling annoying or burdensome. Throughout the years, I am almost unfairly hard on myself. I'm insecure, scared, and angry. I read the words from younger me, and all I can think now is, God, that baby just needed a hug. And I can be proud for the me that decided to choose myself anyway. The fact that I can read an entry from December and see evidence that the seeds I planted then have led to the things I believe today. I've turned things around before, and I'm confident I will do it again. Even if I let myself forget sometimes, I've come so far. As an admitted perfectionist, I have the tendency to dismiss the progress I've made in my life, especially over the past few months. But I look at these pages and I think, yeah, in a lot of ways things are still hard, just in a different way now. But I'm doing everything a past version of myself thought that they would always be too afraid to do, and I can remind myself that that's powerful. When I actually left my job in January, I made the major decision to leave a life of stability, for now at least. A life I didn't necessarily like or feel excited to live, sure, but a life where I pretty much knew what to expect. Now, life is a terrifying ocean of opportunity, and I'm in the midst of learning to swim, and it's terrifying as much as it is exhilarating. My journal over the past few months has given me the opportunity to reconnect with myself during a time where I felt like I didn't know who I wanted to be. There were times I was worried that I'd never have anything good to journal about again. But I also truly learned how to love myself and meet myself where I currently am. It has taught me how to listen to myself and is part of the reason why I can even share this with you all today. A lot of my videos start off either from a line or an idea I've explored in one of my journal entries. And even in the short time I've been sharing my work on the internet, the way I've been able to take the silly ideas inside my head and actually turn it into a full-blown video I can put out into the world has been so rewarding. And it reminds me that we all have a story worth telling. Remember that your thoughts are powerful. If you've ever wanted a journal before, here's your sign to start. It just takes one sentence. But in the meantime, if you want to practice, you can always let me know what you think down in the comments.